Vicious girls shoved the girl into the dumpster, a terrible error. She was an astonishing combatant. Isabel "Izzy" Donahue lingered near the doorway of Crestwood Academy, clutching the straps of her battered satchel, watching as students hurried past, as if she were just a wall. Small in stature, not even 5'2" and slender, making her seem like a kid. She wore her auburn hair in a messy braid and usually glanced downwards as she moved through the crowded halls. Almost a month into the term, she still felt detached in this suburban maze of classrooms and teenage cliques. The transfer from Oregon happened quickly when her dad took a new job. Izzy missed her old boxing gym, missed her trainer, missed the steady beat of practicing every day after lessons. Now, in Virginia, she hadn't found a new gym yet, and without that, she felt uneasy. More importantly, she'd promised her dad she'd try hard to fit in at this new school, which meant keeping her 7 years of kickboxing training a secret. Her dad was worried that Izzy's fighting might cause problems, especially after the event at her last school, where she'd protected a smaller boy from some tormentors. "Just work hard at your studies and make new pals," her dad had urged. "Forget the fighting for now." Izzy had agreed, understanding what he meant. She'd noticed how being known as a fighter had isolated her before, how other pupils either feared her or wanted to challenge her. This time would be different. This time, she'd blend in. The lunch hall roared with the usual midday noise as Izzy found a clear spot in the back. She unwrapped her bagel and tried to ignore the stares from nearby tables. Being the new kid was bad enough without drawing attention. She'd learned to dress plainly, wearing baggy sweaters and hiding her fit body. Most figured she was another quiet, studious girl. Well, what do we have here?" a voice said from behind. Izzy saw 3 girls heading to her table. The leader was graceful and had brown hair, with carefully styled hair and fancy clothes. Her name was Tiffany Sinclair, and she ruled the junior group by using sneaky social tricks. "The new kid thinks she can sit just anywhere," Tiffany carried on, her voice sweet. Her pals, Melissa and Bethany, laughed. All 3 were volleyball players, well known and safe in the school's social system. Izzy glanced down. "Sorry, I didn't know this was taken." "Everything in here is my spot," Tiffany said, sitting across from Izzy. "You're new, so you might not know how things work here. Let me explain." The room seemed to quiet, others realizing what was happening and looking over. Izzy felt her face burn as Tiffany started to explain the school's secret rules, all made to keep Izzy at the bottom. "Also," Tiffany said, grabbing Izzy's bagel, "this is my lunch now. New students have to earn the right to eat." Izzy's hands tightened under the table. She felt that rush, the memory of years of training urging her to move. But her dad's words filled her head. She tried to relax, to breathe deeply like her trainer had taught her. "Okay," Izzy said quietly, grabbing her stuff. "I'll find another place." "Actually," Tiffany said, standing and blocking Izzy's way, "I think you should eat someplace better, like outside, with the garbage." The laughter was sharp. Izzy pushed past them, her face hot, and spent the rest of lunch in the library. She told herself it was just one thing, that it would be okay once she wasn't a threat to them. But it didn't get better. Over the next few weeks, it got worse. Tiffany and her pals worked to make Izzy's life hard. They bumped into her in the halls, dropping her books. They spread rumors about her folks, saying her dad was a cleaner and they lived in a cheap place. They kept her out of projects and talked behind her back. The worst was how others watched. Teachers ignored it, saying they didn't see it. Others looked away, happy it wasn't them. Izzy felt so alone, wondering if hiding her fighting was worth it. It all changed on a Tuesday in late September. Izzy was heading to her locker after art class when she heard Tiffany's voice in the empty hall. "There she is," Tiffany said, turning the corner with Melissa and Bethany. "The quiet girl who thinks she's too good to talk." Izzy tried to walk past, but Bethany stepped in front while Melissa blocked her path. They'd done this before, trapping her where no one would see. "We were thinking," Tiffany said, circling Izzy, "that you need a lesson. You've been here a while, and you still act like you're better." "I just want to be left alone," Izzy whispered. "That's not how this works," Tiffany said. "You can't ignore us. You can't act like we aren't here." Izzy felt her chest tighten, her breathing change when she tried to stay calm. Her trainer had said anger was a tool, but only if used right. She was trying hard to stay calm. "I'm not ignoring you," Izzy said. "I just don't want trouble." "Too bad," Tiffany said, "because trouble found you." It would replay in Izzy's mind. Tiffany grabbed her satchel and pulled, making Izzy stumble. Melissa grabbed her arms while Bethany grabbed her legs. They carried her toward the big dumpster at the end. "No, please," Izzy said, knowing what they'd do. "Don't." But it made them laugh. Others started to gather, phones out, ready to record it. Izzy heard their laughter, their whispers about it. "This is where trash goes," Tiffany said near the dumpster. "Maybe you'll remember your place." They lifted Izzy over the edge. She fell onto garbage bags, hitting hard. As she tried to climb out, she saw the sides were too high and slick. It was full, and she was stuck. The laughter got louder as Izzy tried to climb. Food and sticky stuff was all over her. The smell was strong, making her eyes water. "Look at her," Tiffany said, "the quiet girl where she belongs." Izzy heard phones clicking, recording it. Students gathered, some laughing, others uneasy but doing nothing. She felt tears as she slid against the metal. "Help me," she called, her voice breaking. "Someone, help!" But they just watched. Izzy knew no one would save her. She had to save herself. Then she heard a voice cutting through it. "What is wrong with you all?" Izzy looked up and saw a boy pushing through. She knew him from history. Ethan Jones, a quiet kid. He wasn't well known, but he was tall and strong. "Get away," Tiffany said, stepping between Ethan and the dumpster. "This isn't your thing." "It is when I see people ganging up on someone," Ethan said. He reached into the dumpster, offering Izzy his hand. "Come on, I'll pull you out." Izzy grabbed his hand and felt him pull her up. She landed, her clothes dirty and smelling. The laughter stopped. "You okay?" Ethan asked, looking worried. Izzy nodded, not trusting her voice. She was covered in garbage, in front of the school. But Ethan's kindness helped. "This is awful," Ethan said, turning to the crowd. "You're all awful. Watching someone get hurt, taking pictures." Some looked down, but most just stared at Izzy. She felt their eyes judging her. "You messed up," Tiffany said, moving closer to Ethan. "This isn't your fight." "It's not a fight," Ethan said. "It's just bullies picking on someone." Izzy felt something change. Won't fight back. Was that what they thought? That she was weak? She'd been trying to be good, taking it, trying to be what her dad wanted. But looking at Ethan, seeing his disappointment, Izzy knew she'd been wrong. She'd been so worried about fighting that she'd forgotten who she was. "Thank you," she said to Ethan, her voice stronger. "I can do this." Ethan looked surprised. "You sure? I can walk you to the nurse, or we can go to the office." Izzy shook her head. "I'm sure." She turned to Tiffany, who looked angry. The crowd felt something change, the air shifting. "You think you're tough," Izzy said, her voice loud. 3 against 1, throwing someone in the trash. "Brave." Tiffany's face turned red. "What did you say?" "I said you're not tough," Izzy said, stepping forward. "You want to know what tough is?" It was silent now, knowing something would happen. Izzy felt their eyes, but she stood tall. "You'll find out what happens when you push the wrong person," Izzy carried on. "I've been trying to be nice. I've been trying to fit in and not cause trouble." She stepped again, and Tiffany stepped back. "But you know what I realized in that trash can, covered in garbage, hearing you laugh?" Izzy's voice grew stronger. "I've been lying. I've been pretending because I thought you'd like me more." Izzy pulled the hair tie from her hair, letting it fall. Then she took off her sweater, showing her body. "My name is Isabel Donahue," she said with confidence. "I'm a black belt in kickboxing. I've been training since I was 6. I've won state titles." The crowd gasped. Izzy saw their shock, knowing they'd been wrong. "I came here trying to be different," Izzy carried on. "Quiet and normal. But there's nothing normal about letting bullies push you. There's nothing peaceful about watching someone get hurt." Tiffany backed away, her pals looking unsure. The smirk was gone, replaced by fear. "You want to know what real power is?" Izzy asked, getting into a fighting stance. "It's not ganging up. It's not hurting those who are different. Power is having the strength to hurt someone and not doing it." She stepped forward, and she moved smoothly, controlled. They saw it, the way she moved. "But here's the thing about choice," Izzy whispered. "It's only a choice when you have options. And you took away all my options." It was over quickly, but it would be remembered. Tiffany swung wildly at Izzy's face. Izzy stepped aside. Her left hand caught Tiffany's wrist, turning her while her right hand hit Tiffany's shoulder, spinning her. Tiffany hit the lockers and fell. Melissa tried to grab Izzy, but Izzy spun. Her legs swept Melissa's feet. Melissa fell, hitting her head. Bethany backed away, raising her hands. "I don't want trouble," Bethany said, shaking. "Then you shouldn't have started it," Izzy said. But she stopped. She stood in the hall, breathing, while Tiffany and Melissa were on the floor. It was silent, staring at Izzy with awe and fear. She saw phones recording, but she didn't care. Let them see what happened when you pushed too far. "Everyone okay?" Izzy asked gently. She looked at Melissa, who was holding her head, then at Tiffany, who was getting up. "You're crazy," Tiffany said, her voice shaky. "You're psycho." "No," Izzy said. "I'm just tired of being your victim." She picked up her satchel, putting it on. The crowd moved as she walked through with new respect. "Izzy," Ethan called. "You sure you're okay?" She turned back and she smiled. "I'm perfect." The fight spread. Everyone knew about the quiet girl who was a martial artist. The video went viral, but instead of hurting Izzy, it made her a legend. Those who ignored her wanted to be her pal. Teachers paid attention. The principal called Izzy, but instead of punishing her, he wanted her to join the school's martial arts club. The best change was in Tiffany and her pals. They tried to stay popular, but the video showed them as cowards. Others stood up to them, inspired by Izzy. Tiffany seemed to shrink. She stopped, avoiding Izzy and keeping her head down. The queen had been stopped. A month later, Izzy walked past the dumpster when she heard a voice. "Izzy!" She turned and saw Tiffany alone, looking small. "I wanted to say sorry," Tiffany said quietly. "For what we did. For everything." Izzy studied her, seeing remorse. "Why?" Izzy asked. "Why did you do it?" Tiffany looked down. "Because I was scared. I thought if I made someone else the target, people wouldn't notice how insecure I was. It was dumb and cruel, and I'm sorry." Izzy felt the anger fade. "Apology accepted." "Really?" Tiffany looked up, surprised. "Really?" Izzy said. "But if you do that again, to me or anyone, we'll talk." Tiffany nodded. "I understand." As she walked away, Izzy saw how things had changed. She'd learned that being true to yourself didn't mean being cruel. She'd learned that sometimes you had to fight, not because you wanted to, but because you had to. She'd learned that who you are will always show. You can hide it, but you'll have to choose who you want to be. Izzy had chosen. She would be kind, strong, and always true to herself. And if that meant being the girl who could stop bullies, then that's who she'd be.